The Hawai'i Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Right across of Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and of course it is Aloha Monday, so we are streaming live on our YouTube channel like we do every single Monday, and it's another packed Monday of football because we made it through our first weekend of prep football, so there's a lot to get to in case you haven't seen it yet. Via our friends on Scoring Live, scoringlive.com will get you your full scoreboard on what you may have missed on Friday and Saturday. And of course, recap the game that we covered last week, Friday, with Leilehua and Waipahu, and let you guys hear from their head coach, Bryson Carvalho, and what Waipahu had to say after that huge win against Leilehua, in which the first half was relatively close and seemed like it was going to be a battle heading into the second half, but Waipahu had other plans for the Mules and were able to pull away. But we'll talk about it a little bit more coming up a little later in this hour. To start off this hour, though, we will get into some University of Hawaii football throughout the show. We'll let you hear from head coach Timmy Chang as the Rainbow Warriors had their last scrimmage or full scrimmage of fall camp this past Saturday, in which we were able to check out. And we'll let you hear what Timmy Chang had to say, also what quarterback Micah Alejado had to say, and wide receivers coach / passing game coordinator JU or Jared Ursua. JU is like, now I can't hear anything else but JU. That's because all of the players call him JU. So we'll talk a lot of UH football as Hawaii now, at least via what Timmy Chang told us, they have entered or will officially enter into their game prep for Stanford coming up next week, Saturday. So hence,
it's time.
So hence why this past Saturday was their last full type of scrimmage, and now it is just all strictly game prep, so that we can come away with that win when the Cardinal come to town. But something else, though, that happened on Saturday as well, where we were over there. I don't know if you're recovered yet, Paul. I think I have slowly even started to recover today, right before we have to get into a new work week from our long, back-to-back, 12 plus hour days on Friday and Saturday. But again, we this is what we do. This is what we were prepared for. But it's just like when it happens, I'm like, oh yeah, scrimmage, last scrimmage. Oh yeah, okay. And I just stayed at campus for Sistahhood and was just kind of going back and forth, helping and setting up where I needed to and everything like that. But no, it was a good time on Saturday night for the Sistahhood Social number 4. And a new new theme this year with Saddle Up. So shout out to all of you ladies that came out to the Sistahhood Social and wore your cowboy hats, your cowboy boots, your palaka prints, and all points in between. We had I think her name was Maria, who won our I don't want to say best dressed. I was like, not costume contest, but best dressed. Who she had kind of like a sequin tassel type of cowboy.
Oh, I know exactly
jacket.
who you're talking about.
So it was just
Good.
a fun
I'm
time.
glad she won that. That's important.
But it was a fun time at Sistahhood.
Oh, it was an awesome time. It always is a great time. That's something that we've talked about before in general, where it's just a nice space for all the football-loving ladies to just enjoy a night to themselves where they can goof around, they can have fun, they can shop, they can have some beverages, they can have poo-poos. I mean, anything you could possibly want, it's there, and it continues to improve year over year, right? This year, there was, I almost said I am not part of the crew, but this year, they added competitions, which I thought was fun. I joked with my wife that she missed out on that. I was like, you missed out on a chance to win. But it's okay. It's okay. Overall, really fun time. The players seem to really enjoy themselves too. The coaches always seem to enjoy themselves. But no, another great event. I look forward to the next one. I look forward to seeing all you lovely ladies out at plenty of Hawaii football games this year. Recovered almost. I could definitely use a power nap. Not quite our Michael Lascaro's power nap, but like a power nap. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty recovered. I did prepare myself well for the Friday, Saturday back-to-back long days, even if I did perhaps forget just at the start of the scrimmage for Hawaii football on Saturday. I thought it was a little further in the day, but I got there very quickly, so it's okay.
It was all okay. And going back to, I had it up earlier, but some of the photos from the Sistahhood Social, and you're right, you bring up like the competition that was held, and it was kind of funny because one of the photos there was my mom and then my cousin, and she was there for the first time and came with her mom. My mom and her mom have been best friends for a very long time, and we grew up together. We're only 1 year apart. And she just went into full-on competitive mode. We grew up playing soccer together as well. And then she was part of where you had to put on all the equipment, and her mom was competing too. And then they were competing against another girl. But like when she went in there, she was like taking off her boots and putting up her hair. I'm like, Kai, what is going on?
It's serious business.
Yeah. Once you have that competitive fire and you're a competitive athlete, it doesn't like escape you. After that, she was also one when we were talking to Micah, Alejado for a little bit. She was like, oh, yeah, I played soccer at Kapolei with your sisters. I told you guys that before, that we all played with Micah's older sisters that are close to my age, which is still crazy to think about. That's why I had no idea that he was related to that Alejado family because, yeah, it's just such a huge age gap. But they had a good time for the first time. She said she's bringing her friends back next year. My other aunties want to come and check it out. So all around, just a really good time. We're asking questions throughout the night via our text line as well because, yeah, everyone was just getting in on the conversation. So it was a fun time. Again, shout out to Hawaii Pacific Health, all of the other vendors and sponsors that made it possible for our Saddle Up Sistahhood Social evening that we had on Saturday night. Also, not only speaking of my former soccer teammates, but someone that I kind of didn't even realize was there until it was one of the other competitions. It was like that throwing one where they had to go through and like throw, which by the way, I think I was trying to introduce each lady that went, and I was about to introduce who was Anthony Arsenal's wife, and she's like, no. She's like, don't say who I am.
We got a ringer.
I'm like, okay.
We brought in a ringer.
But one of the other ones that competed, right when I was introducing her, I asked her for her name. She was like, Madi. And I was like, Madi, oh my God. I haven't seen her in forever. So she was my soccer teammate, and she used to play Madi Punzal for any of the Rainbow Wahine soccer fans. She played at Kamehameha Schools under Coach Bud when Coach Bud was coaching at Kamehameha. So it was kind of like this overall, like, whoa, deja vu, back in time soccer moment on top of what is already a fun evening that we anticipate every single year. So a lot of people looking forward to it. I'm surprised and happy that a lot of people come out every single year so far, all 4 years. That's why we try to change it up. But nonetheless, and if we think we had a long day, shout out to the players and the coaches, because at least for us, we were watching the scrimmage, right? Like, we were just watching. The coaches were out there coaching in the sun. The players are hitting each other in the sun. And then they go in the locker rooms and shower. And then they come back to make sure all the ladies have a good time. So shout out to our football program for just having the smiles on their faces. And they stuck around to do all the hard part of taking down the tents, right? Like, us ladies had the easy job to just clean up all of our areas. But they were helping the facilities staff for UH do all the heavy lifting. So incredible job all around. But again, when we chuckle about our long day, and
it pales in
we
comparison.
were comfortable. We weren't hitting each other in full pads earlier that day. Although we are a bit, well, at least I'm a bit older than those guys. But yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I'm a little older than most of them. Some of them are probably my age, but they're starting to phase out. No, shout out to them. I'm glad you did give them a shout out because, yeah, I mean, it's an awesome event in general. I say how it's for the ladies, but also at the end of the day, it is a fundraiser. And Timmy Chang talked to the crowd a whole bunch, thanking them for coming on out and supporting. Sherry, I mean, acknowledge just how much they've been able to fundraise for the nutrition program so that these football players are fed, so that they're, when they do have these long, hard days, they're able to be okay, or they're at least taken care of, and something that puts Hawaii on a different level than some programs. It actually follows through on the promise of, hey, we love your kid, we're going to take care of your kid when he's here. And also, just at the end of the day, it shows that all of these young men are good young men, right? I mean, they came out, and I will say not all of them were there. Some of them do have other, responsibilities. I saw somebody, or somebody was like, "Where's Peter?" I was like, "Peter's got a new baby at home and a wife that he has to, that he has to also be around." So he's excused. But otherwise, it was a really, really great event. The players, like you said, smiles the entire time. They were actively going to find conversation with the women who were there, which was really, really nice. It made them feel like they were a part. And just overall a fun event, something that if you haven't been yet, I very much so recommend going next year, because I'll take the guess that you guys will have another one next year and go on from there. But if you haven't been, please make your way out to one, because it is a wonderful time. If you have been, thank you.
Go again. And help us think of another theme.
Yeah, let us know what you want.
All right, we got to get even more creative, because we got to keep thinking of new themes to keep it fresh and fun. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into some University of Hawaii football conversation and get you some of our quick takeaways from that full scrimmage, their last full scrimmage of this fall camp, as they head into game prep for Stanford, and let you hear from what head coach Timmy Chang had to say following Saturday's practice on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. You guys can text in at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. Or, yes, sorry, we clicked the wrong button earlier, but our YouTube chat is open now. So you can chime in also on the live YouTube chat. It was disabled for that first segment. I was wondering why we didn't get anyone chiming in like our usual Caesar, but it has now, it was so quiet in here, but it has now been turned on. All right. As we keep mentioning, Saturday was the final full scrimmage for this UH football team as they head into full game prep mode for Stanford. We are only a couple of, actually just one more Saturday until we have UH football next week, Saturday, August 23rd against Stanford. So hence why they're going into game prep. But without further ado, before we give you our takeaways, want to let you guys hear from what the head man in charge, of course, had to say, and some other interesting stuff, because they did have the Mountain West officials at this scrimmage as well. So I just want to point that out before we head into listening to this audio and the media scrum with UH football head coach Timmy Chang following their practice on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we're in Stanford prep, and today we played our last full-on tackle type of scrimmage setting. But it's scenario football all the way through, and getting ready for Stanford.
And you also brought in refs and everything, so it looks like it's made it sort of official today.
The Mountain West does a great job, and they help us out where they send a crew out here, and we were able to meet with them yesterday, get them to present on the new rule changes, any questions that we have in front of our team, then we got to sit down with them and talk story and get some clarification on whether it's new rules or how they're looking at the game and how they're trying to ref and what they're being told. So it makes for a good day now. And plus two, we get to go shortly after this. We'll go in the film room and then break down the practice that we just had with them. So full experience with the Mountain West officials, and we're very grateful for Gloria and John Sullivan of the Mountain West to do this for us.
Coach, I think last offseason one of the rule change emphases was about what exactly constitutes targeting. But were there any big ones coming into this year that come to mind for you?
Yeah, they're the feigning injuries, meaning faking injuries, and that's a big point of emphasis. I'm trying to think of any others. I think there's maybe one or two more that they're trying to take out of the game. But roughing the quarterback is another one. So hitting them in the strike zone, and taking them off the knee, taking them off the head. They're trying to take that away from the game. So, but feigning injuries is the first one that comes to mind.
Overall, with the officials out there, what did you think of the number of penalties that were called, or the type of penalties? You just thought on how clean or otherwise it was today?
Yeah, it's a good sign of where we're at and where we need to get to be better. Of course, you like zero penalties, but we need to focus on not hurting ourselves, and so we can do that. But it was good to get officials, and it was good to hear from the officials and get some clarity in the why. And so I'm sure they're I think they're getting graded as well officially, and so but it was really good for us to hear from them and just to have a standard and a standing point of where we're at.
They were able to provide kind of running commentary with you guys throughout the day.
Yes, and then briefly explain to guys where in positions where a player was close to getting a foul. I didn't throw it. I gave you a warning. The officials are in their protocol as well. Your alignment was another one that they're really emphasizing. So if you're really tight on top of another receiver, covering them up, that makes you ineligible. And so they want to be clear on who's on, who's off. But they communicated that really well. And I thought that they did a great job today.
Coach, forgive me if this was asked earlier in the week, but like you said, you're kind of in the Stanford prep now. Is it safe to say that the kind of the depth of the roster is set, or there's still a couple positions that you're kind of assessing in the next couple weeks? Yeah,
it's one of those things where we really know who we like and who we want to, who's going to represent us on Saturday, but we need to get everybody ready. And the guys, everybody in this roster, especially how we have to roster management, change our roster sizes. We really rely on everybody in the locker room to help us get ready. But going into January, we had a great idea about where we were at and what we needed to recruit, and so it's going to be a combined effort, right? The guys will start, but immediately guys will have to come in and we will have to play high-level football whoever gets in that game.
Coach, how would you assess your defensive backs? Obviously lost a couple of strong performers from last year's team. How would you talk about that, or how would you assess the guys who are fighting for those roles right now?
I like our corners, true warriors. It starts with Burdell Edwards coming off of injury, but been a starter for us, and I love where he's at. And then Jaheim has been through our program, and now 4 years now, and also Devin King. And so we start with our 3 guys right there, and then we recruited other guys to provide competition and depth. And so we like where we're at.
And that was University of Hawaii head football coach Timmy Chang following their full scrimmage and final scrimmage of fall camp on Saturday. And a couple of interesting things he was talking about there, and I mentioned it before we went to that interview, and he touched on it a little bit, that in that scrimmage, I thought that was awesome how they had the Mountain West officials come in so that they could kind of gauge different things and what refs are looking for this year, what they're emphasizing, and that way they can kind of like talk through everything, both the coaches and the players themselves, to kind of know what the point of emphasis is this year. And then obviously he said, which is something that is kind of, they all across the country have been trying to emphasize the faking the injuries to try to like stall time, all of that stuff.
Feigning the injuries.
Feigning, faking.
Tim's showing off his vocab.
Faking that you're gonna faint is kind of like or those fake cramps that we see going on all the time. Obviously, roughing the passer has been in the game and all of that stuff, but this is more of just the way that the tackle is done, not like right here in the sternum, like you see those hard tackles and
As
stuff.
a team with a small quarterback, I'm a big fan of them trying to protect said quarterback.
But our said quarterback, which we will let you guys hear from in the second hour, talks about liking to get hits. I'm like,
listen,
no, Micah.
Because he's a masochist doesn't mean that we need to see him get speared and skewered over and over again. Okay?
Also, Micah, like, we were getting hit by I don't think he really got touched in that New Mexico game, but
really.
It was more Bishop Gorman. High school kids hit differently than college. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I believe that he genuinely means what he says and he will take a hit? But it's not. I'm sure the coaches
I don't want to see him taking
we don't
hits.
want to see any of that. So that's a point of emphasis as well. Something that we took out of the audio but did get mentioned is that they are going to submit injury reports now.
Yes.
So Thursdays, Timmy said, Thursdays and Saturdays on game days,
3 hours
before before the game starts. So that's kind of a big thing that the injury reports are going to come out.
I know there are a lot of people who will be very interested in those.
Well, that's why I'm like, are we submitting this because I forget the reasoning he gave, but the initial reasoning I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, part of it is to be like more open with each other, like throughout college. Like part of it is actual like competition style. I don't even know. Tim said they agreed to be more whatever. Part of it is also, and they would never admit this.
No.
But part of it absolutely has to be our friends who also like to wager a little bit.
Yeah, our friends in the desert, because that's kind of what the other sports leagues like the NFL have. I don't know if they haven't directly admitted it, but same thing. It's like we'll be much more transparent with different things.
As trim. But also, here's the thing. As somebody who was incessantly asked last year about Pefele Ashlock's concussions,
oh my gosh,
by people who never interacted with my tweets otherwise, I am very thankful that we will be getting injury reports instead. That'll be far, far better, because I hated being... do you know if Pefele's going to play this week? I don't know. They keep telling me that he's going to, but I doubt it. He's got a concussion.
Yeah. Or even
gosh.
like back, I'm assuming it'll fall under the same category, because I think this is just in terms of availability, but like Stephen McBride, back to that time, because everybody would ask about that, like, hey, is Stephen McBride going to play? And it was like, oh, I don't know. They keep saying like it's still like all of these reasonings. And so at least this time, like you said, now no one has to ask us anymore on whether someone is going to play. That will be announced, like they said, Thursday and 3 hours before game time on Saturdays. So that's just over.
Almost
I like
NFL-esque.
it. Yeah, I like it. Overall transparency like that. That's why. I mean, it helps with the game prep. It helps with to know what to look for by game prep. I mean, our game prep, but also the other teams, of course, just to be anticipating. Like, all right, and say like if it's on Thursday, then our Friday show feels more of a true preview, because we'll know who is out for both teams when we're talking about the upcoming games. So,
or at least have a general feeling.
Yeah, but other than that, Paul, what were some of your main takeaways from the parts of the scrimmage that you were able to watch on Saturday?
It was a fun time. Just in general, it continues to seem like Blaise Kamoku has worked his way up the depth chart. Jackson Harris, finally healthy, is out on the field, though he has a little more energy than some of these other guys at this point. Thought it was interesting that they had, I always screw up his name. The punter, Sean Oliveira.
Oh, yeah.
I need to look at his name. I've got it here somewhere. But
Oliveira Harley. Or
yes. Harl. Something like that. He is the punter. Well, is a punter and also was doing some of the kickoffs. And then not only that, he took a couple of PATs and also took a couple of kicks himself. I thought that was interesting. He hit a 51-yard field goal, which I was like, whoa. Kansei Matsuzawa, he seems to have improved in the offseason, gained a little more leg strength. He knocked down, was this basketball, Paul? He hit a 49-yard field goal pretty easily, like in game flow, because obviously a 49-yard field goal with no defense coming at you and practicing. I don't want to say most kickers can make that, but like Kansei could make that last year. But it didn't seem like Hawaii really wanted to try it from 40, 45, 50 yards out. So if Kansei has that type of leg this year, that could be a pretty nice tool for an offense that I think is going to move the ball pretty well. Brandon White's going to be not like an issue. He's just going to be a problem for teams this year, man. He gets the ball in space, and Micah is very good at this, by the way. Micah gets the ball to the receivers quickly, gives them an option to look downfield or look upfield, I should say, and then try and make a move. And Brandon White, very shifty, very fast. Talked to him before and found out a little more about his track speed and how that can translate over to the football field. He's going to be an issue, though. Devin Tala'efa, he continues to just show off some pretty nice chemistry with whether it's Micah Alejado, whether it's Luke Weaver. He's continued to develop, which is pretty nice to see. The defensive line is impressive. They continue to get pressure after pressure after pressure. The offensive line has looked a little more cohesive in recent practices, which was pretty nice. I'm trying to think of what else if I'm missing anything. I texted you guys a bunch of stuff as well. And the offense is going to be fun this year. That's all I'll say about that.
That's the main one. And the offense is going to be fun this year. And
that's what I can say.
When you go back to the kicking positions and tying into the quarterback scenarios, we got Caleb Freeman. That is the holder, I guess. So Steven Tsai kind of chuckled in that post-game media scrum that and this was just him not giving Timmy a hard time, but Steven Tsai is doing Steven Tsai journalism, things that he always does to try to get as much of the depth chart figured out before it actually does get released. And he's kind of alluded to like, so if Caleb's going to be your solid holder, then technically you could travel with 4 quarterbacks. And I'm like, well, yeah. And even Timmy was like, you're good at math. It's like, it was a funny little interaction about that whole thing because Caleb Freeman, again, who is listed as a quarterback, but if the unofficial depth chart, he would be 4 out of the 3, of course, Mike up there, then Luke, then DeMarcus, but Caleb, at least he's still got a job there to do on game day. Likely.
I mean, here's the thing: Caleb last year was on scout team, which means you don't really. Like, you are very important to the team's success during the week, but you don't really, suit up. You don't get an opportunity where, if the doomsday scenario happens and 2 quarterbacks get hurt, you fall in as the 3rd guy. It'd be cool for him, a former D3 guy, to actually be a part of the game day roster every single week. I think it's a testament to the work that he puts in behind the scenes, and also, sometimes it's just, I don't know. I like having a quarterback as the holder.
I was going to say also, it's not like we haven't seen plays where the holder throws touchdown passes.
Right. It's one of those things where you can do a little bit extra. And I'm not saying anything crazy, but it gives you the option. It's fun. I finally got out my notes here and see if anything else is there. I really do like the fact that they have multiple guys who are going to be able to do kickoff return and give you legitimate options back there. Punt return, I'm still curious to kind of see how it works out. And, they have a couple of different options that they can go with there. But overall, specials does feel like a unit that has more ability to be explosive this year than previous seasons, which is funny because there have been explosive athletes in previous years, but it feels like everybody's kind of more on their P's and Q's, plus you have the explosive athletes behind them. So I think that could be a potentially important unit for Hawaii this year that maybe even flips a game or two for them after seeing where they're at Saturday.
Yeah, and coming up in hour number 2, we will talk more UH football and let you hear a little bit more about the offense specifically, as I had a chance to catch up with past game coordinator and wide receivers coach Jared Ursua, and also quarterback Micah Alejado was made available to the media following Saturday's practice. So we'll let you hear from those two guys coming up in the first start of hour number 2. But for now, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk some prep football and let you hear some audio from what we had as our game of the week last week between Waipahu and Leilehua. Let you hear from Waipahu football head coach Bryson Carvalho and our Fun Factory VIP of the game, Colossus Letalu. I was like, I'm so not used to saying that as a first name. Is like the one.
It's
Colossus.
A cool name,
yeah.
guys.
Like, that's his name? That's awesome. And that's what he plays like, too. He plays to what his name sounds like. So we'll let you hear from those two gentlemen when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760. Radio.com and streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do this and every weekday, or not weekday morning, every single Monday. But we are live on the radio every single weekday morning from 8 to 10, or you can listen to us on demand wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, watch the show on YouTube today a little later on demand if you missed anything. Or I guess on YouTube, you can technically rewind back if you missed it. Anywho, but we heard from UH football head coach Timmy Chang a little earlier to give us his thoughts following their final scrimmage of fall camp on Saturday as they head into game prep for Stanford. But coming up in hour number 2, we will hear from Micah Alejado and Jared Ursua and their takeaways from fall camp up to this point. But I do want to get into some high school football as prep football is back. A full weekend, Friday and Saturday. of all things football. We were out covering the game between Leilehua and Waipahu. I will pull up our scoreboard here, powered by Scoring Live, to get you a bunch of these scores that happened on Friday and Saturday. Again, that Waipahu-Leilehua game, what was it, 8-6 at halftime, Waipahu leading by 2. And then at the final score, 37-13 in favor of the Marauders. There was a lot of big wins for a lot of these teams. Wai'anae, another game we're promoting that was on TV on Friday, they beat Lahaina Luna 42-21. Huge win, too, for Campbell, 50-22 over Moanalua on Friday night, setting up what is likely to be yet another big-time matchup for the cane knife coming up this week between Campbell and Waipahu. Both teams starting off this season or up top with huge wins over their respective opponents. The one surprising one, I think, was the St. Louis and Kahuku game that happened on Saturday night. A shutout win for St. Louis, 20-0 over Kahuku in Kahuku. So that was kind of the shocker in the sense that Kahuku was completely shut out. Now, it's still early. I'm sure there's things to get figured out, but St. Louis fans, especially those that were, I guess I had to ask the question at Sistahhood, like we know, like Anthony Arsenault was singing the Kalaipahaku, like alma mater and everything when I asked him who was going to win.
The whole song.
All of that stuff. So a lot of big wins. Pac-5 over our friends at McKinley, 35-6. Pearl City beating Kohala, 54-27. So all across, Kailua having a big win over Casso, 57-8. But if you guys want to see the full scoreboard, we have it up for you right now on YouTube. But of course, you can head to our friends at scoringlive.com to see everything throughout the weekend and all of those scores coming in. So it was a fun time. Again, we were out covering the Waipahu and Leilehua game. Paul and Kyle were on the play-by-play. So before I kind of ask you for some of your takeaways from that game, Paul, though, we want to let the beautiful people hear from some of the important pieces from that game. So we'll start first with Waipahu football head coach Bryson Carvalho and what he had to say following that win.
All right, Coach, opening win against Leilehua. You mentioned that there's a lot of good games, but this one was convincing in your guys' favor. What allowed you guys to get this commanding victory?
I think our offensive line, we talked a few days ago, there's huge expectations for them, and they answered our challenge. And at halftime, I felt that we could run the ball. We were trying to do a little bit too much in the first half. We talked. I thought we could have just kept it a little bit more simple, run the ball, and we ended up doing that the second half. And hats off to our O-line.
And then talk about the defense, because they gave up that opening drive, but after that, Leilehua's offense couldn't score. Talk about the defense.
Yeah, and hats off to Matthias, how he gets the guys to adjust on the fly, just stay calm. A lot of it was just we're not rallying, we're just over pursuing. But once he kind of got the guys in their place, things happened well for us on defense. We caused a lot of turnovers, so I'm real happy about that. But there's still a lot that we got to fix. You know what I mean? There is. So that's just the coach in me. You know what I mean? The perfectionist, I guess, within our staff. There's a lot that once the game was done, we all kind of looked at each other and we all kind of agreed. There's stuff that we definitely need to work on. But all said and done, we're going to celebrate this win, right? It's a good win for us. We're going to get back to work tomorrow morning. We start at 8 o'clock, so I'm looking forward to it.
And then, the defense, right? It looks like they're having fun out there. And also, it's also like less rigid, but more freedom, because Colossus said on his interception that he was supposed to blitz, but he saw the slant was open and he got the pick right there at the goal line. So I guess talk about the trust you guys have in your guys' players.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it hard. I mean, I'm an offensive-minded guy, head coach overall, and I look at it overall, but when offensively I'm calling plays, I just hate calling it against our defense, just because there's so many different looks. You think they're blitzing, they're not. Like, it just causes havoc and confusion. I myself play quarterback too, so I kind of know, like, mentally what it does to a young mind, you know what I mean? And we just give so many different looks. So, again, Matthias just dials up plays at the right time, and hats off to him.
Last question, you guys got Campbell next week, the K-Knife Classic. I mean, right now it's the Campbell knife because Waipahu hasn't probably held it for 20, 30 years. I don't know how long it's been, but Talk about that matchup and how special it would be to kind of get that back for the community.
It's always a big game. We're expecting a big crowd, a lot of supporters on both sides. It's definitely our rival. A lot of, I think, over the years, especially when I kind of took over, we're kind of in those battles with Pro City. At the end of the day, if you're a true person from Waipahu, you really know who our rival is, and it's against Campbell. So we're looking forward to coaching the guys up, getting them ready, getting them mentally prepared, and hopefully it's going to be a good game.
And that was Waipahu head football coach Bryson Carvalho following their big win against Leilehua on Friday night. Now here's our Fun Factory VIP of the game, Colossus Letalu, a linebacker from Waipahu.
All right, Colossus, opening win against Leilehua. Talk about the win that you guys got.
That's brother right there. I feel great about the win. That was the best way to open up the season. Hey, player of the game, I love it. I'm gonna keep doing me, and then I'm gonna get it. I want it again. That's the standard every time to win. Let's go.
Talk about the defense, because you guys had like 4 sacks, 4 picks, and they didn't score after that their first drive. Talk about the defense.
That's just the defense. We gotta go every time. Every time, bro. That's the standard. We ain't letting them no points. Hey, I'm telling you, watch out for my boys too, dog. Watch out for my boys. It ain't just me on that defense. Everybody on there. Yep.
Talk about your interception, because Leilehua was at the goal line. You got it right in the middle, and that kind of almost changed the game. Leilehua didn't have any momentum after that. What did you see in that play?
Actually, I was supposed to blitz that play, but I seen him run a slant. Nobody was covering it. I dropped back. I just took the chance, and I got it. I'm blessed. God gave me that chance. I took it, and I got it. Yep.
Talk about your new DC, Matthias, right? He's a former player, and he seems like, he's got the defense on another level right now.
Oh, yeah. He bring the energy every practice. That's what the standard is. You got to bring the energy every day. Game time, we should not let up points, and he sets that standard for us every damn time.
And then last question, the offense, right? They got it clicking. What you can say about the offense, and they got it going after, and they ran the ball.
Oh, when they run the ball, we know we got the best O-line in the state. I'm confident about that. So we're going to keep running the ball. We're going to smash people's faces in.
All right, congrats, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You could tell Micah wanted to kind of chuckle at that. Again,
Smash
that was
people's faces
Waipahu linebacker Colossus Letalu, our Fun Factory VIP of the game, following Waipahu's win over Leilehua on Friday night. Setting up what will be a big-time game coming up this Friday for the K-Knife between Campbell and Waipahu. Again, that's this Friday at 7:30 p.m. at Waipahu. But no, going back to that Leilehua and Waipahu game. Sorry, I'm still chucking. He's like, but I mean, that's kind of what you want to hear from your defensive guys. Like, we want to smash people's faces.
It's exactly what my linebackers should hear or sound like. I don't need to ask. He eats his steak with his hands. Like, he picks up a steak and eats it with his hands. He doesn't need a fork and knife. That's how I need my linebackers to be. And Waipahu has a couple of guys like that, because Wyatt O'Neal also had himself heck of a night for them.
Yeah, and some of you guys may be wondering, like, why would a linebacker, I mean, they held Leilehua to just the 13 points, but also Waipahu put up a lot of points as well. But what came to the decision, Paul, and just a few takeaways from that game that you guys managed to choose Colossus from that performance, and also just what happened and what transpired in that second half where Waipahu, again, only up by a couple of points going into the halftime, low-scoring game, just 8-6. And then the floodgates open for the Marauders, where it was just too much for Leilehua to catch up after a while.
Yeah, I mean, Waipahu just kind of plays an old school brand of football, one where it wears you down after a while. They talked about it a little bit in those post-game pressers or those post-game interviews, where running the ball over and over and over again, they did not go away from the run. They added in passing plays here and there, and they took shots down the field to keep the Leilehua defense honest. But overall, they just relied on Tristan Pacheco. They relied on a strong rushing attack in general. They relied on a great defense. Michael mentioned it, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions. And the reason that it was Colossus's, player of the game award to lose was he made the big play, it felt like, that kind of flipped things in general, right? So the first interception of the game was made by Wyatt O'Neal, the other linebacker for Waipahu. But the second interception of that first half of Bennett Strobel, who we've talked about on this station before and we talked about during the broadcast, and we think is one of the better quarterbacks in the entire state of Hawaii. He kind of bounces back and he starts to lead Leilehua down the field, and right before they're able to punch it into the end zone, who's there but Colossus Letalu, who jumps in front of a pass down near towards the end zone, picks it off, stops the momentum of Leilehua, and from there it just felt like Waipahu completely took over. Their defense continued to just get into the backfield, continued to pin their ears back. And I mean, to be totally fair, Leilehua went completely away from the run. In the first half, they ran the ball like 5 designed times in total. If you look at their rushing stats throughout the game, they ran the ball 13 times, 13 designed runs, as compared to 29 throws by Bennett Strobel, and a lot of those runs by Leilehua came late. Like I mentioned, just 4 touches for their starting running back in the first half, and it wasn't because Cayenne Rivera Galbraith wasn't productive. He had 4 carries for 26 yards. They just kind of became one-dimensional, and against a quality defense like Waipahu, you can't do that. You have to keep the defense off balance. The Marauders were not that. The linebackers were flying all over the field. The young defensive line, which was a worry for Waipahu going in, I thought performed outstanding. They got great penetration against Leilehua's line from the very beginning of the game, and it just didn't stop from there. So a really strong performance top to bottom for Waipahu. Leilehua, it looked like they got worn down, and once you go down by a certain amount, you do have to just kind of rely on the pass. You do become even more one-dimensional, and that's what happened there in the second half. The Waipahu defense locked in even more, and it was just a tough start to the year for the Mules.
Yeah, and a great start for Waipahu. Again, the Marauders over the Mules 37-13 last week, Friday, in the game that we were calling. Coming up this week, they'll have a big Waipahu anyways. We'll have a big time matchup against Campbell again, as you heard it in that audio with Bryson Carvalho. Have not won the K-Knife Trophy against Campbell since 2004. So it's a long time coming, and part of the reason why this last Saturday's win was big for Waipahu, and you heard like "We Are the Champions" playing in the background, even though I'm like, this isn't a championship game, but it felt like it because, again, Waipahu moving back to Division 1, Leilehua moving up to the Open Division, so it felt like, all right, we beat an Open Division opponent. But we were saying last week that this would still, even though they are in separate divisions, it is more true to what the competition is. But because Waipahu could come out with that staple win, it was a big deal for them. But this week, Friday, we will bring you Castle and Aiea, kind of almost like getting to see another brand new field there. As we mentioned, Waianae had their new field. I know Aiea did some renovations, so we will bring you Castle and Aiea again this week, Friday, at around 7:30 p.m. and a lot more other prep football. Again, go to Scoring Live if you want to see some of the live scores and some of the schedules. We also have these schedules at hawaiisportsradio.com for the OIA with the designation on what you can or where you can watch and which games you can watch on television coming up for the month of August. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are just going to close out hour number 1 and then get into more UH football coming in hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whatever platform you guys are tuning in on. And even if you are watching or listening on demand, we appreciate you. You can join in on Felipe and Caesar's conversation in the live YouTube chat, or you can text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481. Now, I don't want to kind of start any serious conversations.
Boo, coward.
Just because we're going to have to hit a break. So, but coming up first thing in hour number 2 for everybody, we will get back into some UH football conversation and let you hear from quarterback Micah Alejado and also pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach Jared Ursua and what they had to say following Saturday's scrimmage. Again, the last full scrimmage for the Rainbow Warriors as they head into full game prep mode for Stanford coming up next week, Saturday already, August 23rd. See you guys there, 1:30 p.m. at the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex, nationally televised as well. So everyone that can make it there, bring your signs. Everyone that can't, at least in Hawaii, everyone will see it, and it'll be available for all of you to watch on whatever cable networks you have there instead of the pay-per-view stuff. But anyways, something else that happened over the weekend, there was a massive swell that hit. First, it hit Tahiti. I was seeing all of the videos on Surfline at Chopu and all of the surfers that were out there. And then that swell came around and hit Hawaii. And boy, were the waves pumping this past weekend out there. So much so that I don't know if you saw it, Paul. It would be amazing if you didn't see it all over, across social media. I'm sure everyone has heard about it already. Where the poor Atlantis, not the actual submarine, but I guess the passenger boat that takes the passengers and the crew from the dock in Kewalo to the actual submarine, ran aground because of the major swell. So the boat was trying to get into the channel there in Kewalo, but I don't know if the captain was new or not, but did not time the sets right. And usually there's no government oversight per se. There are warnings to boats that like, hey, we advise like there'll be high surf, all of that stuff. And usually it's up to the specific boat owners or the companies to not take out their boats that day. Obviously Atlantis didn't want to maybe cancel reservations, so they chose to go out. And I want to say it was the first portion where they take out the crew and then coming back in, they did not time the set right. So basically caught a wave, not intentionally, kind of went up for a floater a little bit, came back down. But because they were aiming for the channel, but they took the wave, and I'm sure they tried to like slow themselves down, but then kind of had them in an angle where they went sideways on the wave. Good thing they didn't go completely over, and then went up, but then it took them out of where you're supposed to come into the boat harbor and sidewards. And then because it was low tide, they ended up on the reef. And the boat is still there up against the wall in Kewalo. And I don't know when it can be moved. So they didn't want to cancel reservations. And now it's all canceled. Because I'm assuming there's only that one boat that takes them out. I mean, maybe they are borrowing or have a smaller boat somewhere that can take passengers out. But yeah, if anybody was having a bad day, no one had as bad of a day as Atlantis did.
Much worse for them. That is far, far worse.
You gotta see the videos if you haven't.
I have not seen the videos. I have been under a rock for the majority of the weekend because the New York Jets won their preseason football game. So I have not needed any type of negative energy around me like that. Be safe when you go out sailing, and be safe when you're out in the waters.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's the biggest rule.
That's the biggest takeaway. But if you guys haven't seen it, it is actually, at the time it was like, whoa, what is going on? But now all that, it just hurts my heart. And I know a lot of environmentalists, because we don't know the damage now that's going to be done. And hopefully there's a pretty hefty fine for Atlantis coming, because got to be smarter with preparing or going in there in between sets, and it was a whole thing. Anyways, encourage you guys to look it up if you haven't seen it already. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get back into more UH football and hear from quarterback Micah Alejado and also pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach Jared Ursua. First thing in hour number 2 on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Breckton. This is the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760 on hawaiisportsradio.com and streaming live on our YouTube channel this and every single Monday, or you can listen live this and every weekday morning on hawaiisportsradio.com wherever you get your podcast. Yeah, that too, but you can listen after it. You can listen after 10 a.m. Feel free to chime in on the live chat on YouTube, or what is now Felipe and Caesar's conversation, and a little bit of stuff towards us, but they're mostly talking NFL stuff. So we'll get into that a little later in this hour because we're keeping it with UH football. Also, you can text in at 808-888-5481. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation or have anything specific when it comes to University of Hawaii football or anything else that we are talking about. And again, in the first hour, we heard from head coach Timmy Chang and what he had to say following their their last and final full scrimmage after this weekend on Saturday, in which they had actual Mountain West referees come in so that the coaches, the players, and the refs themselves can kind of start to get acclimated again and get on the same page when it comes to some of the rule changes / emphasis on some particular rules. So if you missed that, you can go back and watch or listen a little later. But now we want to look at the offensive side and hear from quarterback Micah Alejado. He is all but confident in everything, like as we would expect. Micah has always have this really, for someone that has is a little smaller in his stature, playing the position that he is, just the true confidence that he walks around with. But it's not like cocky. Like, I mean, when we see him on Saturday at the Sistahhood Social, he's like saying hi to all the ladies. And of course, he is one of the more popular ones because everyone knows him. Obviously, he's wearing the bright green Sistahhood cowboy hat, the bright shoes. He was just a good time.
So funny. Yeah, it's not cockiness.
No,
it is very much so like this calm, cool, collected confidence. And I hate using the word aura at this point because it feels like it's overused, but like he does have this very calm and like inviting, friendly aura around him. And you can see why teammates gravitate towards him, why fans gravitate towards him. And I mean, it's the type of quality you want in your leader, in your quarterback, and it goes through onto the football field where that quiet confidence, quiet is the wrong word because he's not that quiet either. He's very excitable just like the rest of them. But, you know, this very straightforward confidence of we're going to go out there and we're going to take care of our business because we have what we need. He is a very impressive young man. I'm very excited to see him grow physically because, I mean, mentally, it seems like he matures just so quickly. Every single time we talk to him, he has grown leaps and bounds.
Yeah, and before we hear from him and what he had to say following Saturday's practice, on that note, I wanted to just add an additional story from, I told you guys, and someone had just asked me about this, about the Ruby Tuesday thing in which he took out the offense on that. And someone had just talked about or brought it up last week to me on, was that like, a PR thing? Like, did Ruby Tuesday just take care of all the food? I'm like, no. From what I was told, Micah paid full price for, I think it was like at least 50 was like the head count, around 50 something, full price. And then on Saturday, I overheard him because there was this really awesome cowboy hat area that you could buy, but very high quality and custom designed cowboy hats. And it wasn't very cheap. I think each cowboy hat was a little over $100. I overheard him. I won't say which teammate it was, but I heard a teammate kind of like checking out one of the hats and looking at it. And Micah was like, "You want me to buy it for you?" He's like, "Let me buy it for you, dude. Like, I want to buy it for you. Like, come on, let me buy it." And of course, his teammate was just like, didn't want to take it.
Yeah.
But like Micah, he's just so generous like that. And
Good
like
dude.
with his NIL earnings, but he was like persistent. And I had to walk away at the time because I had to go get summoned to do something. But just to overhear just Micah wanting to take care of his teammate, just like, "Hey, just let me get it for you. Let me get it for you." I thought that was really special. And just, like you said, that overall good dude. But he can also, more importantly, as much as we like good guys, we want guys that can ball on our football team as well.
I like good players even more than I like good guys.
So when it comes to winning football games is something that we really need to do here for UH. So Micah had a chance to chat with the media following, again, Saturday's full scrimmage, the final scrimmage as they head into game prep for Stanford happening next week, Saturday. But here is what Micah Alejado had to tell the media.
It's good for the team. Just being able to get back in the mode again and having the officials officiate how they would in the game and, getting used to the same thing. We've been off for 6 months and haven't played a game with real officials, so just seeing where our team is at, actually, and, it looked good. It was good to, get those calls and, get those errors that we made today so we can get it fixed before in 2 weekends.
Plus, you went against the second unit, so it looks like you're facing tough pressure.
Yeah, those guys are good. It's not just the ones for us. The 2s and 3s are really good. So just giving them work, and they gave us great work as well as an O. So, it was good just to, get them exposed to our offense and, being able to go work against them. And Coach DT was calling some good things today and, went back and forth today. So it was good for our team.
It looks like you and Papelli got that Cole Brennan, Devon Best thing going.
Yeah, we're trying. Meet with all the receivers. We have a special group from outside to inside, and we're hoping to go put it on national television this week, the next 2 weeks. So it'll be fun.
Micah, one of the officials' emphases coming into the season is supposed to be on roughing the passer.
Yeah.
What we were told by Coach Chang. Did you see it manifest out there today in any form or?
Yeah, they changed it a lot. They try to protect us a lot, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it's just football. I'm gonna get hit at some point in the game, and I gotta expect a hit. So I'm gonna be ready and let the refs the way they ref, and just gotta be able to take it. It's football, and I enjoy getting hit. It's part of the game. So yeah.
How much was this practice kind of helpful? Coach Chang mentioned that the refs were kind of explaining themselves in one way, either a call or a no call or warnings and things like that. How much did that kind of help you understand, when it comes to game time, their thought process when it comes to officiating?
It was good, just being able to talk to them and, seeing how they officiate. Obviously, just, seeing where they're thinking on what kind of calls, like pass interference is a big one. So just seeing where their head is at and what they're looking for. And that was pretty much the biggest thing they told us, what they were looking for in every single call. So it helps us, our team, avoid doing those things and, put us in the best spot to win.
Seems like guys like Cam, Landon Sims, the running game starting to get going a little bit. How helpful could that be to you guys on offense this year?
Man, it could add a lot of things to our offense. Obviously our run game wasn't, that, great last year. So it's been a big point of emphasis for us this year to get the run game going. And, that's going to open a lot for our passing game. And the O-line and the running backs took that to heart. And I think they made a lot of progress from last year. And, just hoping that, it goes well for us. The running backs are ready to go eat, and they're ready to go block for us in the pass game as well. So just hoping to get that going and see what kind of offense we are this season.
Micah, you got any thoughts on the opposite side of the ball, your guys' cornerbacks this year? It's a new set of guys, right, with Verdell coming back and some other guys coming in. And you guys had some very capable corners last year, right? So how have you seen that changeover take effect?
I think our whole defense as a whole is really good, but especially the corners. I'm locker mates with Verdell and Jaheim right by my side and DK. And that whole group is really special. Going against them every day for the past the whole time I've been here, just going against them. Really aggressive guys, and they like to make plays in the game. So I think they're going to be really great for our defense as well as the rest. The interior D-line, the ends, the linebacker core is really good, and safety's got Peter and Nahi back there. Our defense was really good. They did really good last year, and all of them had experience from last year. I'm expecting them, just hoping that they're going to go do what they do, because we go up against them every day and they give us a hard look, and I love it. And as an offense, we always say we're going up against the best defense in Mountain West and potentially the country. They did some great things last year, and we have faith in our guys on the side of the ball, and I know they have faith in us. And I hope as a team we come out and show who we are as one.
Since you mentioned it, in the lockers after every daily practice, what is it like having a couple guys that you were going against over the previous couple hours right next to you?
It's competitive, on the field. We're talking trash to each other and going back and forth, but in the locker room, we're loving each other up and telling each other what we saw and, what could have been better, for me if I'm throwing a bad ball, what I could have done better on their coverage, or, how if they got beat, what they could have done better on the offense side of the ball. So just being able to have that relationship in the locker room is really big, and I think that relationship is pretty fluid with the whole team in the locker room. So I think this team's chemistry is really close as a team off the field, and I'm excited to see how we perform on August 23rd.
August 23rd, Paul.
Every time they mention it, I laugh. Dude. Every single time.
August 23rd. And again, that was University of Hawaii football quarterback, or QB1, Micah Alejado, following their Saturday practice and their full scrimmage with the officials there from the Mountain West. And he said kind of the same thing like Timmy, where it was nice to just kind of get on the same page with everybody.
I think if I'm reading our chat correctly, August 23rd is also our Felipe Hernandez's birthday.
Oh.
So happy early birthday to you, my friend. I hope it is a wonderful day, and I hope UH grabs a win for you and for us, but especially for you. But yeah, I mean, Micah. I'm so excited to see Micah, dude. He's just, it goes
and
back
he
to
likes to get hit, apparently.
Dude, that's the most insane comment ever, but it's fine. But you hear from him there, and it is just this continued mature quarterback. I'm very, very impressed from a year out of high school. I mean, I guess it's a year and a half because I think he was an early enrollee. Most kids aren't this well spoken, aren't this well put together, and also, I mean, how many times have you seen somebody have a great debut and then come out and talk super crazy the next year? Like, I don't think Micah has done that either. No. You know, he gets, I don't want to call it a baiting question from Steven, but like a fun little like, oh, you guys have that, Colt Brennan, Devon Best type of.
That was crazy, dude. When Steven Syme made that compliment, I'm like, whoa. And I was kind of joking with you there off air. I'm like, that sounds like when I talk about how someone has glimmers of hope to like Chad Owens-esque type of run ability, catching ability, all that shiftiness. But then I always take it back. I'm like, well, I don't want to put that expectation on anybody because that is high.
Glimpses of that,
but
flashes
when
of that.
I heard Steven Sy throw out the Colt Brennan, Devon Best connection, I'm like, whoa.
Right. Whoa, wait a second here. But I thought he handled that pretty well in terms of like, oh, that's what we're trying to get to.
He's like, all my receivers.
Yeah, and also like, yeah, that is what they're always trying to get to. You want to be like the GOAT matchup or the GOAT connection in Hawaii football history. This is a kid who, not to put a ton of pressure on him, but in a lot of ways, this is like the franchise. You know, this is the quarterback that can lead UH out of these doldrums that we've seen over the past almost half decade or so, where he is the personification of the Timmy Chang era, or can be the personification of it. That's a lot of pressure going forward. I totally understand that. But he seems like somebody who is able to put that on his shoulders. He's not 6'3", 250. He's not this, beefy man. He is just a good football player. And honestly, just a good football player might be underselling him at this point. I'm really excited to see this kid play. I'm really excited to see him grow continuously. And I'm excited to continue talking to his teammates because, it's one thing to have that persona to the media. You won't hear a bad thing said about him from his teammates, whether it's the guys in the quarterback room who are competing against him daily, the receivers, even the defensive backfield. They'll talk very nicely or very kindly about his talent. So I'm excited to see what year 2 / full year 1 looks like for Micah Alejado.
Yeah, and I asked some of that to Jared Ursua, the pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach, after practice. Just kind of, I guess, solidifying my initial thoughts. Like, maybe part of the reason why Micah had said, like, I like getting hit is because he doesn't really get hit because he makes decisions so quickly. And that's something that Jared does point out. So when we come back from the break, we will let you hear from UH football pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach Jared Ursua on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. All right, continuing our UH football conversation as the Rainbow Warriors had their last full scrimmage on Saturday as they get ready for game prep against Stanford. Well, I know a lot of people are very curious and intrigued by this offense, especially with a brand new QB1 to start off this season, a new quarterback than from what we could remember the last time where we have one starting in the new season. Again, shout out, of course, as always, to Braden Shager for everything he gave to our program. But now it's going to be Micah, Alejado, and also some of the staffing changes. We know Anthony Arsenault is there as the OC. So I was curious, and the receiving core is solid. You add in Jackson Harris, who we didn't get to see a lot in fall camp, but was healthy this past Saturday. But for nonetheless, huge expectations for this offense as a whole. I had a chance to catch up with pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach Jared Ursua, aka JU, is what everybody calls him now. So I'm going to kind of get used to calling him JU. But here's what he had to say following Saturday's scrimmage. On everybody's mind, how is your unit looking up to this point, just a couple of Saturdays out from the opener against Stanford?
The thing I think is probably in the outline is just more mature, right? They handle the moments better. As we've done situation football, they understand those situations. Having a Pofele Ashlock, having a Nick Senecal, adding guys like Brandon White and Jackson Harris, it's just been awesome. And so the guys, they know what's in front of them. We're 2 weeks away, ready to go.
And actually talk about the development of your guys in Nick Senecal and Pofele Ashlock, especially making the all preseason team, and how they've improved and what fans can expect from them this year.
Well, the best part is that they're up for a new challenge. And it's not just trying to win football games, but trying to build on what they've done. Pofele wants to be better when he gets the ball in his hands, right? Not just make the play, but go and extend the play. Nick does a really good job making the play, and he's got specific goals and trying to be dynamic down the field. And that's one thing that I love about those two, is that they're not comfortable with the preseason. They want postseason accolades. So it's been great work. It worked intentionally, and it always helps when 12 is back there giving the ball.
And tell us a little bit about one of the newer guys, what fans can expect, and we've kind of expect to be a big addition in Jackson Harris. Obviously, we haven't been able to see much of him in this camp so far, but just what can you share about him and what he brings to this offense?
Jackson has a ton of speed. He's from Stanford, so he's super intelligent, and he picked up our playbook so quickly, and it all makes sense to him. And then he just loves the guys he's playing with, and so him and Nick Senecal and Jarvis Hemuli, Pofele's brother, they all live together. They're football junkies, and so they were watching previous games, and it's almost like he was there with us now. And, he was only here in the spring, but he talks as if he was there with us, and almost has that sort of I want to get back at people. So he's been really, really good. We're excited to get him kind of rolling and going here this upcoming season, and him being a household name too.
Yeah, and how has it been for your guys to go against this defense that a lot of Hawaii fans have been able to see this past couple of years, especially last year under Dennis Thurman? I mean, what a way to practice against a squad like that. So if you can share a little bit about what it's been like to see your guys go against a top-level defense like we have here at UH.
Yeah, DT does an excellent job. And not only do we have Verdell and Jaheim, but we've recruited a whole bunch more speed in Zion Allen and Gibson and Samaj. And so as these guys have come, it's been some really great camp battles. We've watched our receivers really grow because you got different skill sets in the secondary. And then Coach DT just does an excellent job in positioning them to make plays. And so as we've gone through it, we have kind of a nice little, kind of a going game of who wins the final drives in practice. And he got us on the last one, but I think we got him today.
Last one for you. What have been some of the major differences you have seen? Not just the fact that he's a lefty, but the starting quarterback now is completely different from it's been the last few years. So how has things maybe changed, or what stands out to you as being the most different different, or how's the connection going between QB1 Micah Alejado and your guys?
Well, Micah comes to us with this background in Bishop Gorman and national championships and so forth. But I think anyone that would come to practice would see his moxie as a quarterback is incredible. I mean, he just takes command of the huddle. He talks to the offensive linemen, to the receivers, the running backs, and then what he does is he's incredibly decisive. He makes a decision and he lives with it, and he plays the next down. I keep telling people it'd be like playing basketball with Steve Nash. Like, he just makes the four other dudes like way better, and you might look at him and say, but the guy's a heck of a player. He's smart, and he makes everyone around him better.
Last one for you. I know there's really not much you can actually share, but just maybe a little hint as to what Anthony Arsenal brings as that OC position and how maybe we can expect a change up this season with the offense.
Coach Arsenal does a great job, and we had the pleasure of working together at Southern Utah. And we really have been able to develop more culture within the offensive unit, how we finish plays, how we break the huddle, what our goals are as an offensive unit, and really specifying, and not that we weren't able to address that prior, but when Coach Chang in the NIL transfer portal world that we live in has to manage in 105-man roster, it helps to have someone who just wants to help that offensive unit. And so the organizational aspects, the leadership, the accountability, and then there'll be some new wrinkles I think fans will look and see that they'll really enjoy, that are nice touches that fit and blend with the run and shoot very well.
All right, new wrinkles. We see you, JU, like Anthony Arsenal, like, let's go. That's why it's always funny then, and I always phrase it that way. It's like, I know you guys can't share that much, and we don't want you to, because we don't want to put a ton of stuff out there, because these programs will have like interns scouring the internet for just about anything, tuning into our show. I mean, we do have like millions and millions of viewers, but we just don't want to give away as much as we can. As that was Jared Ursua, the pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach for UH, following their scrimmage on Saturday. Before we kind of talk a little bit more about that offense and some of the stuff that he had said, I do want to point out the defense, in that it is interesting, because when we go back a couple of weeks, Dennis Thurman, when asked about Verdell Edwards, had a very conservative take about him and saying how he missed a whole season coming off an injury, and we'll see how it goes. But then when we go back to Timmy's interview that we had today and was asked about the defense, first thing he said was Verdell Edwards, and then Jared there as well, when I asked him about how it's been like going against the defense, Verdell Edwards was the first name as well. So Verdell Edwards, as expected, as I think it kind of like validates stuff that we've said on this show multiple times before, Paul. And like, man, if Verdell Edwards is healthy and coming back and being a part of this defense, because we saw what he could do 2 seasons ago, this is just like a big addition for this University of Hawaii football squad. Again, losing a couple of significant guys due to injury due to graduation and transfer. But you get a guy like Verdell back, at least it validates what our initial thoughts were, hearing head coach Timmy Chang say his name first, and Jared Ursua, again, his guys in the receiving core, and being a pass game coordinator, has to try to go against Dennis Thurman's defense. And all the confidence right now in Verdell Edwards. Please, 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 please stay healthy.
Please stay healthy. And that's really the biggest question with him, I guess, is can he stay healthy this year? And if he does, I mean, every time he's been on the field for Hawaii, he's been out there and he's produced, whether it was the first year where he had 3 interceptions, he led the team there, or the second year where he had 7 passes broken up. And you look at the guy and he looks like a prototypical NFL cornerback. He looks like a guy who, with the type of development that you think that he probably can get with a Dennis Thurman, with a PJ Mania, with this defensive coaching staff in general, you're like, can Verdell work himself back into the NFL's eye in some shape or form? Because, I mean, so Peter Manuma, right? He was he's placed on the East-West Shrine Bowl preseason top 1,000 list. Fun fact for you, Verdell Edwards was on that list last year. He just missed the season due to an injury. So he is also somebody who has previously piqued the interest of some professional scouts. So can he work his way back on there? And realistically, the thing, like we said, is health. That's why I think DT was pretty conservative with his answer the first time we asked about him, where it was, this guy is coming back from a year-long injury. We don't know how he'll hold up over the amount of time. Game reps are different from practice reps, and we need to see him back out there. Well, after seeing him for a few weeks, it seems that he has continued to hold his place towards the top of that depth chart. And to me, that's actually really, really big for Hawaii going forward, because I've talked about it, multiple times on this show. You lose Cam Stone, you lose Sibo Brown, and those are two guys who were arguably top 3 pairing in the Mountain West when it comes to cornerback duos. You add in Elijah Palmer, and you feel really good about your defensive backfield last year. Well, you lost 2 of the 3 guys there. Who steps into that role? Verdell taking over one of those 2 spots is absolutely massive, or would be absolutely massive in terms of figuring out the few question marks that you do have defensively for Hawaii.
And going back over now to the offense, and that was perfectly said by you about Verdell Edwards, but in the offensive side, how I asked Jared about Jackson Harris, again, has not been a participant in fall camp, but finally able to at least start to get some work in, and that's why he had so much energy on Saturday. But the good thing is, and I think of why they were being a little conservative and cautious about his health, is because you don't really have to worry about this guy getting the reps in, right? He is a veteran, I guess, from a college level standpoint, against transferring over from Stanford. And it's not like he's a true freshman where you're like, you need to get the reps in, you need to make sure he knows how to do all of this stuff. But Jared Ursua being very confident in the fact that, hey, he was able to learn the playbook. He's been watching the old game, so now he feels like he's part of the team and wants to get back at some of these teams as if he was part of the team last year. So all of these things, he is definitely someone on the offensive side that I'm very much looking forward to seeing in true action, and see how that chemistry develops with Micah Alejado. Again, the chemistry with the current receivers seems like it's going just fine, probably if not better than how it's been already, because you know for sure that Micah is the starting quarterback, and then you have all of this receiving core and the talent that we have. But Jackson Harris is a nice little gift that's going to be worked in there for this receivers. And who knows what's going to happen with the tight ends as well. So now kind of going back to what Micah had said and what we've been talking about a lot on this show, and I'm sure a lot of people have, is just trying to get that run game going, right? Like that's the thing that was really non-existent last season. So trying to be not just a one-dimensional passing team, because Micah can sling it. But it would be nice to keep defenses a bit honest, knowing that, hey, we can also run it too. So that's probably the biggest. I know there's some concerns about the O-line, and obviously the O-line does contribute to the success of the run game. But those are probably, I feel confident in Micah's abilities, and of course the receiving core and the tight ends. But I think it's kind of figuring it out and being hopeful that once they figure out the run game, we're going to be looking in top shape for the offense.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with those question marks, right? And to be fair, the run game is a little bit interesting in the run and shoot. And our Michael Lascaro has explained this before, where they have the little short routes and the little running back just to the quick pitch route or whatever it may be, where those are almost pseudo runs in a sense to try and get their guys out in space. So I do want to be fair in that sense, but I am curious, can Landon Sims take a step this year? Can Cam Barfield be more productive? Do we see Christian Vaughn give you more than just, the one big run per game? Does somebody pop out from the depth chart? Do you see a Sitani Mikaele who last year worked his way up through little stuff and has had himself a decent camp against the third string? And, does he eventually make his way on the field? Does David Cordero do anything this year for you? There are so many different backs. Do any of them pop for you this year? And if they do, it just adds an entire new dimension to the offense, where you can still have those short routes that become a quick out that's a pseudo run.
Does Blaze Kamoku get the little pitch?
Right, and that's another, there are so many weapons for this offense that we could just sit here and go through. I'm glad you bring up Jackson Harris. He's a guy who, completely different conversation than the running back and all of this. A 6'3" wide receiver at 205 pounds. He is a solid target, somebody who you can kind of throw a jump ball to and feel decent about. You can hit him right over the middle, and he's going to be able to take a hit. There's some things to be excited about with what he adds on in a different skill set than a Pefele Ashlock, than a Nick Senecal, than a lot of different guys. So no, this offense can be very fun. Has some question marks, obviously. Like we mentioned, the running backs. Can the offensive line take a step forward this year? Can they be people movers like we've seen them be in small doses before? Can they do that a little bit more consistently? I'm curious to see, and it all happens on August 23rd.
I'm like, is it August 23rd yet? When do we have game time? Especially when it feels like we are turning over a new leaf. Again, this is the moment to be optimistic, and it seems like that is throughout the entire program. Everyone is feeling optimistic about this Hawaii team. I've heard from multiple people that this does feel like the best team overall under head coach Timmy Chang. So now it's just putting it together and going out there and kicking the living daylights out of Stanford, please. And then hopefully that'll put you in on the high note going over to Arizona. And then at that point, can Hawaii open up the season, per se, winning its first road game of the season, something else that has been kind of a struggle over the last few years under head coach Timmy Chang. So a lot of expectations, even from me. I'm putting it up there, especially first 2 years. It was always kind of like, well, we're rebuilding, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, this is year 4.
Well, at some point, rubber has to hit the road.
Yeah, like this, we got to win some football games, and we got to do it this season. And I feel confident that Hawaii has the pieces to do that, and especially against a Stanford team that's on a down year. Again, Arizona will be a bit tough. Sam Houston is still, I'm not sure what to expect from Sam Houston, just because even though they had the changeover, they're still a quality football program. Then we play Portland State with the FCS side, so...
Sorry, John Keave Songapolutele for his homecoming game on that one. The reason I'm laughing, our Felipe Hernandez says he'll take a modest 48-7 Stanford game with a victory. And you know
just
what?
Just a modest one.
I am there with you. We don't need 50 points. We don't need to go for like 700 yards. Just give us the 48-7 victory.
I think that would hit the over. I got to go double check the most recent odds. I know it started off at like 55 half-ish, but it might have come down to around 53 half, so I have to double check that. So if that's the case, if it hits over, I would also take that, but depending on what it is. But win is a win. Again, August 23rd. Before that, though, that Thursday, don't forget the Rainbow Wahine soccer team opens up their season, or their homestand, first home game of the season. That Thursday. So hopefully you guys can make it out there to Waipio Peninsula, where they will take on Central Arkansas. They do open up the Rainbow Wahine soccer team, that is, open up their season this Thursday, going out to Long Beach. So be sure you guys take a look out for that. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
All right.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
I know you're wondering how I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel. And boy, oh boy, we've been talking about a lot of University of Hawaii football in this show. And what a way to head towards the end of this show. Breaking news coming in. That's right. Breaking news for everybody, for the University of Hawaii football fans, especially here in this state. You do still have to have Spectrum cable, but University of Hawaii football games now will be, as it should be, available for anybody to watch as long as you have Spectrum without purchasing pay-per-view. So it'll essentially be free. Woo!
Come on.
That announcement just coming through the pipe, being tweeted out via social media for the University of Hawaii. That is huge, you guys. Again, you still need to have Spectrum, which is fine. I get it. But shout out to Matt Elliott for finding a way. And I'm sure that's why we've been saying the negotiations were taking a while. But now, at least to myself, because like I said, I was always worried about a TV deal unless it was signed or unless we get official announcement, because after having official announcement means that it has been signed. But that is huge. So the tweet is, this year, we're bringing Hawaii's team to our fans live on statewide TV. For the 2025 season, fans in Hawaii will be able to watch games televised by Spectrum Sports without purchasing pay-per-view. That's huge, man.
It's massive.
I wonder if that means... Hold on. Because now I'm like...
Holding.
Does that mean... Because it doesn't mention the... Because it does say statewide TV... And then it also doesn't say, because there's like an audio thing in it. So we got to like listen to it, but it came in like right before we were jumping on air. But it doesn't necessarily say that they can watch just, oh no. Okay, it was tweeted by Hawaii football. Sorry. Okay. Oh no. I thought it was tweeted by Hawaii athletics.
No, Hawaii football. Hawaii football said, this year.
Statewide TV, no purchasing pay-per-view. That's huge. That is so, I don't remember the last time football has been free.
Well, not during my time here in the islands.
Well, it's been longer than that. So.
Well, I was going to say, it's never for me. So, no, this is awesome news just in general. You and I have been talking about, worry is a strong word, but how the timeline is starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller in terms of what they had to be able to announce a new deal or something, some sort of agreement with Spectrum or somebody else, and glad that we get this all nailed down and out of the way. It doesn't become a distraction. It's something that you can just go through this last year in the Big West and your final year, not as a full Mountain West program, in a very calm manner. You can go through it in a great way. Excited to learn more about it as well as we continue to get more news that leaks out. And like you said, actually listen to the video that dropped alongside it. But overall, I think this is big for Hawaii football fans just in general, because we've talked about it. The biggest thing you can do to grow and to help your fan base is make your team more accessible. And pay-per-view makes it so much less accessible for other people. We talk about all the time for other islands, how difficult it can be for them who want to root for UH, who want to be up to date, but don't always have the ability to go to games, don't always have the ability to grab the pay-per-view, sometimes are busy, they want to catch it, whatever it may be. This is awesome for them as well. So this is great news for Hawaii football fans in general. It's great just a great way to start the week. You know,
such a great way to start.
What more could you ask for?
And there is so much proof that accessibility builds a fan base, right? We see it most recently with women's basketball all over, right? You have like the WNBA has more games. It's cheap to get it. They put a collegiate women's basketball everywhere. It's so accessible. You look at the Savannah Bananas, their owner. I saw a quick clip on social media talk about people are asking like, oh, why don't you, partner or go with the MLB or you have other. He's like, we've had stakeholders come in and stuff. He's like, but the goal has always been to be about the fans and keeping it accessible for the fans when it comes to Savannah Bananas. And that's how it has exploded into this. They keep their tickets really cheap. Secondary market, it's selling for like $400, but just face value from Savannah Bananas, it's no more than $100 in there. On TV, they do have TV deals with ESPN, but they still keep their games still live streaming on YouTube as well. Because again, just make it accessible. And so for all the baseball purists that want to knock the Savannah Bananas, tell you what, their fan base is definitely growing at a larger rate than Major League Baseball because Major League Baseball is so difficult to get. I'm looking at you, MLB, and your blackouts of Hawaii for the West Coast teams. Those things like that, right? Like it's just, you continue to exclude a good amount of fans and you withhold yourself from really growing, where this is big for UH football. And yes, you still have to have Spectrum cable, but now you won't have people debating like, do I spend like the $500+ for the season or like 100 something for just per game, right? Like now they'll just get it. This is so awesome. And I'm so excited. So those of you that don't have Spectrum, just go find someone's house to go watch it at, because now you don't have to like debate whether or not to pay for it or not. It'll just be free
just there
on Spectrum throughout the season. So again, that's the breaking news announcement coming through via the University of Hawaii this morning. Right? See, again, working out that we go till 10 o'clock so we can bring all this breaking news to the beautiful people. The first Spectrum Sports, they've updated the football schedule now on here with Spectrum Sports on it. So the first Spectrum Sports game will be that Sam Houston game on September 6th for football, that is. Obviously, we know soccer and volleyball start before that. Got to look on what soccer games they have, but they always have the women's volleyball games on there. So at least there is a home. Now we can not stress that there will be the University of Hawaii programs will now continue to live, at least for this final year, potentially on Spectrum Sports. Stanford, once again, will be on CBS. The game at Arizona will be on TNT. And so first game free, not pay-per-view, will be against Sam Houston on September 6th. Like, I'm so excited. Like, it makes my heart happy because this is something that I've been wanting for the fan base for a very, very long time, especially all of our friends on the neighbor islands, because it just never made sense to me when you could get it for free. I know it was only on an app and not necessarily like you could watch it on your TV, but you could get football games for free on the continent, but you couldn't get it for free on the neighbor islands. Like, it just was a bummer because they're not going to spend the money or not everybody can afford and spend the money to fly over to Oahu, get a hotel for a night, get a ticket, and then go to a football game. Like, that just doesn't make any an economic
logistical sense,
especially considering that we live in a very expensive state as it is. So I think this is very, very huge for everyone, and I'm excited. Let's see. Someone is texting in that I hope it'll still be free on the mainland on the Team One app. I'm assuming, because it is on Spectrum, so I'm assuming it's still going to be free, but I don't see why not.
I would assume so.
I hope so.
And obviously, because we also had somebody else text in saying, great news, what about all other sports? Will it be shown? We are still finding out more information as this breaks, just so everybody is fully aware. So we're not ignoring your question. We're trying to figure out the answers.
Yeah, there is a press conference coming up in about half an hour at UH. So I'm sure, obviously, unfortunately, we can't be there, but we trust all of our other media colleagues to be sure to ask the appropriate questions as to the other University of Hawaii sports. I'm assuming this is why it took so long, though. And shout out Matt Elliott and President Wendy Hensel for what I would predict was the pushback from UH. Like, hey, you guys want to do this deal with us or not? Because again, Matt Elliott has that attorney background, so I can imagine. Nice guy, and truly a nice guy. But sometimes when the attorneys come out in some people, they're just not going to take no for an answer. Like, if you guys want to partner with us this final year or have this, I guess, 1 year extension, then we need to give these football games for free on Spectrum to the entire state. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't think you could tell.
No, not at all. You're hiding it actually super well.
Just a bit. And I will be more excited if and when we get all of the other questions answered, like the rest of the sports for sure, and then if it'll still be available on the Team One Sports app for everybody on the continent. Then, if all of that is a yes, we're golden for this season. What a way, like Paul said, what a way to start the week. I'm going to take a quick break now because I'm just all this excitement.
Got to collect ourselves.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back to close it out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
All right. I think we've collected ourselves for now.
We good? We're all calm?
We're all calm.
Ish.
Especially because, we want to find out the exact details and make sure that our friends on the continent and also our other sports are taken care of. But I honestly wouldn't see why, at least the other sports, I feel safe to say that they're included and people can watch that.
I feel relatively safe with that.
because as much as we love football, I can't imagine Matt Elliott being like, oh yeah, just make it free, but it's okay if you don't broadcast any of our other sports. I don't think he would sacrifice that much. Never say never though, but I don't think, I'm pretty confident in saying that our other sports are safe, but we will definitely hear more of the details coming up later on this morning from everyone that's involved. Again, Matt Elliott and President Hensel will be available to chat with the media coming up. I guess it was like 10:15 over there at UH. So breaking news, if you guys are just tuning in, if you have Spectrum, the news that came out is that football now will be available without pay-per-view. So it'll be free, just like the other sports that are on Spectrum, that you can just watch football, not have to worry, not have to debate on whether or not you're wanting to either pay for the full season right away, not knowing. And I get it. Like, we don't know how UH is going to be, pay for that oh my gosh, can you imagine if it ends up being like that season that we think it's going to be, where Hawaii is really good? I was going to make
the joke and be like, it is funny that the time that we think it's actually a team that's worth paying for, we finally don't have to pay for it to see it. That would be pretty nice. That'd be a nice little repayment, reparations from the previous.
That's exactly what it would feel like. True reparations. We've been giving you our money all of this time, and trust me, I know. Because then we're kind of bummed because especially for home games when we'll be at every home game, but then it's kind of a bummer sometimes because I like to watch the broadcast after. It's like we can't DVR it because I'm not going to pay the pay-per-view to record it when I'm at the game live, and it's just a whole thing. So at least now it's like, oh yeah, we could just record the game, like woohoo, so I can come back and watch it after. Like we'll just watch it on Sunday after we're already watching it in person. So that's exciting. Again, more information to come, but that was the breaking news that broke around 20 minutes ago via the University of Hawaii, is that football will be free. No pay-per-view anymore.
I also appreciate them doing it. We talked about this last week as well. A nice part of being 2 hours now is UH always finds some way to break some news during this 9 a.m. hour. Yeah. This one, I was disappointed is the wrong term, but we got noticed that there was going to be some important news surrounding the UH athletic department today at 10:15, and I was like, oh, right after our show ends, it's like this, not the sweet spot, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. So shout out to them for breaking it during the show so we could react to it actually live this time.
Oh, man. Well, it's so funny because I was planning, and I know Caesar and Felipe were chatting back and forth about NFL preseason, and I know Paul was very happy with his Jets. But you know what? Luckily, we have a show tomorrow morning, so we can talk a lot of NFL because we will sacrifice the NFL preseason as tribute with the breaking news that we just got. So we will definitely talk more about the news, get you the details that we should have by later this afternoon, but we'll talk about it tomorrow morning and then be able to get into some NFL chat and discussions. But man, what a way to continue the good vibes from the weekend that we had, where we were out with last week Friday starting up our high school football. We have Castle and IAEA this Friday, by the way, on HSRN. Saturday, final scrimmage that we were able to watch for UH before they head into game prep, and then also had Sistahhood Social on Saturday night. Pull up some of those photos again just for the vibes from Sistahhood Social. Had a chance to get a full football show today, hearing from UH head coach Timmy Chang and Micah Alejado, and of course Jared Ursua. What a fun show. And then what a fun way to cap everything off of the good vibes is getting this amazing news. And again, I feel confident in saying that the other sports will be included. And the team sports one available on the continent, though, is not something I'm confident with saying for sure. But at least we'll get the details. But nonetheless, for the Spectrum customers, no pay-per-view to worry about. So, good vibes after this weekend. And what a way to, as if we didn't already say that it was a good way to start a Monday, Paul. What a good way to start this Monday and this week.
I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's a great way to start the week. I think it's a great way to lead into the season. Stanford prep, we don't have to worry about any more things when it comes to the media side of Hawaii football for this upcoming season. Pumped. August 23rd. Happy birthday, Felipe.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Felipe.
I'm going to remember.
Well, add to the list of days that we need to remember, which another thing coming up this week, as if we will continue to fill up our calendar, is we're supposed to get that announcement with the stadium contract execution this week. August 15th was the deadline for that. So we'll see what happens on August 15th and whether or not that is going to happen. So more stuff to talk about throughout the week. But what the good vibes now, hearing that there is no pay-per-view that anyone has to worry about.
Also, hello, Alex. Thanks for stopping by before we got to get off. Alex and Adelaide.
Yep. So one of our dedicated viewers out there in Australia. But for now, we got to go. So we'll get you more details tomorrow about what's going on with the Spectrum deal. But we got to go. So for Paul, I'm Kule. Mahalo for listening and watching. Bye.
KOIA lives here. KGU AM. K236CR. Honolulu is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.